Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is the ultimate channel CK with me, Dr. Lewis Muchile. Today, I'm going to take you through the importance of hydrochloric acid in the stomach and why we should maintain the lowest pH between 1 and 3. Now, HCl in the stomach seems to be one of the most important fluids in the body, and therefore its pH should be maintained at lowest. Now, if you maintain this pH, that means all other fluids in the body, their pH will be maintained. There's a direct relationship between the stomach and most of other organs. So we'll touch about that as we go ahead. Now, if you raise the pH of the stomach towards basic, there is a cascade of events that will come to happen that will yield negative events, and we don't want to do that. So what do we want to do? We want to concentrate this stomach acid as much as possible so that we can avoid the cascade of these events. Now, let's start. What is the role of this hydrochloric acid in the stomach? In our previous videos about ulcers and GERD and about H. pylori, we touched on the functions of this hydrochloric acid. And we said, number one, this hydrochloric acid, its role is to kill bacteria that come in with food. Number two is to fix H. pylori, which means if you concentrate your stomach acid, H. pylori goes into hiding and doesn't become aggressive, so you will not get H. pylori induced ulcers. Number three, sphincter closure, meaning this sphincter is closed or is tightened when the stomach acid is concentrated. So if that stomach acid is not concentrated as it should be, then that means this sphincter will loosen up and the contents of the stomach will go back into your esophagus, and that will start to hurt. Number four, pepsin and protein digestion. So stomach acid is necessary for your digestion of proteins and also production of pepsin. Pepsin is an enzyme that activates or catalyzes the reaction or the breakdown of protein into amino acids. And remember, amino acids are the ones that are supposed to yield tryptophan, which tryptophan is an amino acid, which is supposed to give you hormones like serotonin and even other hormones like adrenaline and dopamine. They will come from amino acids, which come from proteins. So if this is messed, or if this heads towards basic, then you will not digest proteins. That means you will have bloating, you will have problems in sleeping because these hormones regulate sleep, you will have problems with anxiety and depression and all that. Now, so those are the roles of this stomach HCl and concentrated HCl for that matter. Now, what are the things that get this stomach acid out or reduce the pH of this stomach or increase the pH of this stomach towards basic? What are the components that will mess your stomach environment? Number one, junk foods. If you eat junk foods, we already say that they are highly inflammatory and they neutralize the stomach pH. Therefore, you'll experience problems with this pH. Number two, alcohol. Alcohol has OH groups, and that means it will neutralize this acid. Once it neutralizes the acid, again, problems of indigestion and bloating. Number three is sugar. We've talked about sugar all the time, fructose, sucrose, all these simple sugars, and even juices. These sugars are found in fruits, they're found in juices, even milk. So take care of those sugars and simple carbohydrates because they mess your stomach pH. Also, ladies who want to lose weight or who are undergoing an appetite disorder called bulimia, they keep vomiting after eating, and that means they lose these contents of the stomach. So the acid goes with vomiting and diarrhea. So all this, and above all, the age. Old people have less acid in their stomachs. What does that tell you? That old people will experience indigestion, will experience GERD, and all these ulcers and bloating. So it's normal for them because with age goes reduction of stomach acid. So those are the foods or the things that cause an acid to either get out of the stomach or that mess the pH of the acid in your stomach. So now, what are the effects of low acid, or what are the effects of altered pH of this acid in the stomach? Number one, bacterial overgrowth. Now remember, in the stomach, bacteria that exist in the stomach live in an acidic pH. And therefore, if you mess this pH towards, if you take it towards either neutral or basic, that means that bacteria that will start to grow into the stomach are the ones that grow in a basic media. And that will will cause an overgrowth of bacteria in your stomach. Now, this bacteria will start fermentation processes, and this will yield gases, so you will feel bloated, and again, these gases, you'll keep belching all the time. And the contents of the stomach will start going back because we've loosened this sphincter also, so remember that. Now, number 2 is a leaky gut. Now, I want you to understand there's a direct relationship between the stomach and the skin. So most of us talk about protein allergies. I want to illustrate how that happens. Now, a leaky gut, apart from wheat products causing a leaky gut means your stomach is perforated. There are holes in your stomach, and therefore, protein content leak out through these holes into your blood system and your lymphatic system, which is your immune system. Once they leak out into your lymphatic system, the immune cells bombard them. Now, they bombard them because they are foreign agents in the immune system. Now, this is experienced as skin swellings and allergy. All the time you say protein allergies. Now you realize it's not about the protein, but about the leaky gut. And we talked about the leaky gut and what causes the leaky gut. So basically, stay away from wheat products and seed oils. Now, number 3, we have candidiasis. Candida is a fungus, and this fungus exists normally and is kept in check by our immune system. So once, and also this acid. So once this acid goes towards basic, Candida becomes opportunistic because it takes advantage of low acid and then it starts to proliferate. Now, once it starts to grow or multiply, it gets access into the esophagus and into your mouth. And that's why you get all those whitey substances on your tongue and towards your gut. So that is Candida infection, which is a fungal infection. Now, number 4, H. pylori. H. pylori, we said thrives well in basic media. Now, because this is acidic media, if you raise this acid or if you concentrate that acid, H. pylori goes into hiding. Now, if you make this basic, that means H. pylori becomes aggressive. So, if you've not if you've not understood this about H. pylori, there's a video I've put up about H. pylori and explains everything about H. pylori and acid concentration. So you can find that out. Now, above all, we have indigestion. And remember, we've already said if we have protein in digestion, because acid and pepsin are the ones that help in digestion of proteins. So once you have protein in digestion, that means you'll not absorb any amino acids. So you'll not form hormones, you'll not form neurotransmitters like adrenaline and serotonin, which is a feel-good hormone, and dopamine. So you will have problems with anxiety and depression. Now, again, pepsin, just to mention, pepsin is a protein that is produced when acid in the stomach is highly concentrated. So this pepsin, its duty, we already said, is to catalyze the breakdown of proteins into amino acids. Now, if you mess this stomach acid, this pepsin will not be produced, so you will not digest your protein. Number 2, sometimes this pepsin gets access into your esophagus because the sphincter is now loosened and the contents of the stomach are going back into your esophagus. So pepsin will get access into your esophagus. What does that mean? That means it will start corroding your esophagus, and again, it will form a plug into your esophagus. Now this plug will start irritating you and you'll start coughing, so you'll have chronic cough. So once you concentrate this stomach acid, that cough disappears. So take note of that. Then, since we are not absorbing proteins, we also have a lack of absorption of minerals and essential ions like magnesium, like potassium, like zinc and iron, and also vitamin B12. So vitamin B12 and iron are the ones that when they are in deficiency, you will have pernicious anemia. So stomach acid is very necessary for absorption of iron and vitamin B12. So those are the relationship between what will happen what will happen when your stomach acid concentration is messed up or the stomach acid is low. Now, given that we've talked about what takes acid out, we've talked about the importance of this acid and the roles, and we've talked about what will happen if you have low stomach acid or unconcentrated stomach acid. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about here is possibly the recommendation and also there's a statement that I'll put up, and I'll say this. Sometimes once you feel this reflux of this stomach contents into your esophagus, what do? People go for regimens that are antacids or milk so that they can neutralize, because in their minds they think there's high concentration of acid in the stomach, or there's a lot of acid in the stomach. But remember, that's the opposite, because if this acid is concentrated, then this sphincter will not loosen up, so nothing will come back into your throat. But if the acid is messed up, then this sphincter loosens up, so it allows content of the stomach to come back into the esophagus. So once you go for those drugs and the antacids, the omeprazoles and all that to help you lower your acidity or your reflux, you will only have relief of symptoms for a short period of time. And then it gets worse. Why? Because those drugs again mess the stomach environment. So again, all these contents keep going up, and it will make you worse. So you'll get from, that's why most people take these antacids and get from bad to worse. And that is the reason. So what are the recommendations if at all your stomach acid is already messed up? Number one, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is an acidic preparation that you can mix with water, a spoonful in a glass of water, and drink before a meal or before bed. Now this will help you concentrate, because it's an acidifier. It will help you concentrate the stomach acid, and that will take all these things back to normal. But that will take time, so it will take some time before everything goes back to normal. Number two, fix your diet. Stay away from simple carbohydrates, stay away from seed oils, use ghee and all that. We've mentioned all the fats that you can use to cook. Stay away from wheat products and simple carbohydrates, stay away from juices and milk. And once you do that, you start concentrating stomach acid. If you have to eat, then eat proteins, and also eat food that is high in fat. Now fat will help you concentrate stomach acid. How? Because fat is a satiety food. That means you'll take a lot of time before you eat again. Now that is like intermittent fasting. So that means the lesser you eat, the more time you have to concentrate the stomach acid. And that also leads us to our last one, which is fasting. Now fasting concentrates the stomach acid, and prolonged fasting for that matter. So that will help you avoid all these problems. So thank you for staying with us. See you in the next video.